work to reform our marijuana laws. I believe decriminalizing or even fully legalizing marijuana is the first step in, unwinding the war on drugs. I think that's the first step. So, any headway we can make, even if it's just medicinal as a start, is a huge step.
Can you repeat the question?
All right. And as you can note, my previous question was about sexism. We as men, and me as a white, able-bodied male, need to be conscious about who's on these panels, right? Hip-hop came from people of color, women, and so to have a panel of all men would be perpetuating sexism. So we need to do that work. So just to reiterate that. So the question again is, how does hip-hop promote alternatives to incarceration and the current criminal justice system? Alternatives.
I feel that it could be both a negative and a positive. In a positive way, it's a positive outlet. Music, hip-hop in general is a good way to relieve your stress. It allows people to become educated. A lot of the time, when we tell you a story, you may not listen. I'd say maybe 98% of the time. But if we were to put it in music, and if we were to do a really good job to where you would really like it, you might be able to change the way you think or the way you understand something. So I feel like that I'm just breaking it down to the easiest, the way I understand it, the simplest. It allows an outlet. For first, stress reliever. Second, it allows people to become educated. It allows evolution. And it allows a way for us to really tell how it really is. Whether it be, Anglo hip-hop, Native American hip-hop, African American hip-hop, Asian hip-hop. We're all portraying a message that comes from our ancestors. And we're going to do it the best way that we know how. So hip-hop is a way for my ancestors to talk to you. Hip-hop is a way for my ancestors to help you understand what the hell is going on today.
So, question was about, let's go back to
alternatives to hip-hop, or hip-hop's alternatives to incarceration and hip-hop's alternatives to the current criminal justice system.
Okay. So I know he wanted to speak on that. He had something to say about that. But I think the one thing that we've done in the game is we've flexed the First Amendment. And we say what we want, where we want, how we want. And if you agree with it, great. But like my guy over there, he does photography. He does photography. It's one of those things where he takes pictures of a lot of the artists out here, and he does that as his way of being out of, negative stuff. And because he's got, if I gave the mic to him, he could tell us everything about what we need to know, as well as Weldon and Cortland, a few other people here. But you had something you wanted to say. What did you want to say? What did you?
No, I came here because of the Save the Kids from Incarceration, right? Does anybody here know the statistics on Decorate Youth Center, Oxbow, stuff like that? Like what a juvenile actually goes through, or the statistic of him going back to that juvenile place or to prison? Just imagine a pod, right? Just a pod of people, of boys, men. And there's 12 of them. 8 of those kids have the potential of going to prison. 8. Right? Or coming back to DT, which only leaves you going back to a 3rd district court. Which only leaves you going back to seeing, a commissioner, or going back to DT for another 30 days to wait for a group home. And I tell you this from experience because I did 5 years in this juvenile justice system. And that's why I came here, because my friend said, yo, check this out and see what they're about. And I don't mean no disrespect to nobody, but I haven't heard anything about saving kids from incarceration. It's all been about what you guys have done, and yo, props to you guys, props to my boy, props to everybody here who's done something of themselves, you know what I mean? But these kids out here, when they go to court, they literally, who here come from a first immigration? Like, for real, like, I know my mom's an immigrant. As fuck. Did you know that ESL was actually a disability? Like, me going into a school back at Westwood Junior High and not knowing English, I was considered disabled, which, does anybody know what it's like to be separated from everybody else in a room? And being like, oh, every white kid like, oh shit, look at that fool. Oh, he's disabled. Because I was trying to learn English. Or maybe just say it right. Because you know how much it fucking bugs me when they say Alexis, not Alexis? I don't put you in the ESL class, don't call you disabled. That's what's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of us is when once you hit Decker Lake Youth Center, you're prone to drapery. You're prone to Metro jail. Prone. There's no escaping it. And once you're in Metro jail, my man right here said mental health. None of it. Bro, do you think there's any of that shit in juvenile? You get a 30-minute session with a therapist to talk about why you're trying to get away with an extra bag of chips. Or why the fuck you were listening to an MP3 player with Tupac. Right? Like, it's that shit that is like, it's mind-boggling to me that it's like, yo, here in Utah, a kid that is, I started from truancy at 13, right? I didn't want to go to school because of the shit that I just said. Disability, right? I was trying to learn English, just say this shit right. So I didn't go to school, and so I remember going to see Commissioner Russell, then transferred me to Judge Yates. Never seen the outside world again. I met this man at 18 when I first got out of juvenile prison. You know what I mean? Like, from 13 to 18, for truancy. Fucking think about that. There's a point system that they have for juveniles. They give you points. How bad you act, they give you points. And then, oh, let's send them to a fucking maximum security facility. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, there's places like EIP that you guys can reach out to, early intervention programs. There's places like group homes. There's places like Decker Lake, Wasatch, that really need your fucking help because we don't like going to a fucking government building and being like, taking help from a fucking dude who read a book. You know what I mean? And when someone like the homie shows up and it's like, yo, bro, like, hey, I'm from the fucking streets. Like, I'm really out here. I'm really grinding. Like, here's my Facebook page where I opened up for so-and-so, or when I didn't have shit. When I was sleeping in a fucking closet with this dude. You know what I mean? Like, because we didn't have anything. Not in the closet, you know? But it was like, on some real shit, like, it was like, we didn't have shit. And it was like, that's what I relate to. It was like, that's what brought me to pop. Him not having shit. Him being discriminated against. Like, him not having nobody to turn to. Nobody. You know what I mean? And that's what brought me to this little meeting that y'all had. And that's the only real, like, thing that I can say is, like, if y'all could reach out to EIP, you know, Wasatch, Decker Lake, that have these open communities that is like, yo, we're open arms to facilities, you know what I mean, to help these kids, because nobody wants to show up to a government place when you're issued an order there. I know I am.
So just off of that, and thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of time left, and then, so Save the Kids, I'll prop that for 30 seconds, and then there's some information up there, and then we can talk one-on-one as we break down. But there's a book right there, it's called Poetry Behind the Walls. It's the only book in the whole world that is writing by incarcerated youth that is published on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the corporate places. But Save the Kids is the only organization nationally that goes in detention centers on a volunteer basis, dealing, and we created the first hip-hop music studio in the United States, teaching kids how to scratch. So my next request and question later down the week or month is asking these people to get into the detention centers, because I, as some students here know, I'm getting into every single detention center in Utah. But the paperwork is slow but surely, and it's happening. And we got into every single detention center in Albuquerque. Save the Kids in 2011 closed down a detention center that killed 2 kids. And this was without any money. Right? Like, people say, oh, you need money, you need money, you need money. You don't need money, you need people, you need love, you need energy, and sometimes you don't see it. So that being said, that's some of the stuff that we're doing, and we don't write grants, we don't have a 501c3 on purpose, we don't have a checking account. So when people say, oh, I want some of your shirts, I want some of your hats, well, then get it, and it's cash. That's all we got. And so the money goes right back to the group, and and we cover the books, and hopefully you can read some of the books that are out there and stuff, because you won't get it anywhere else. That being said, I'm just going to give like a few seconds to the panelists to say their last words. We're going to open it up, and if they would like to say like an open, you know, a acapella or something, they don't have to, but some people, I'm saying that not requesting it, but some people have said, yeah, I'll say a song or an acapella or a poem or something. And then I think looking at the time, we might have time for like one or two questions or comments. Does it make sense, everybody? Because there's a lot of beautiful minds in here, not just us. So we want to, you know, decentralize the power and knowledge in the space. So we'll kind of go here and then there and then wrap up. And then ideally in this whole space, we typically take a big picture together. And that's kind of a common thing that we do. So that being said, any last short comment or question or thought that you want to leave with, or leave us with?
Prop 2. Make some noise! Make some noise! Prop 2, where you at? Yeah! Let's see you guys. So I don't want to sit up here and rap for you guys, but I will have somebody, Cortland, come on up here. Come on up here. I will have somebody talk a little bit to you guys. If he wants to rap, he can rap, but I'll let him address his 2 cents.
I don't really have a 2 cents. I manage this guy right here, and he's fun all the time. This is what he does. He puts me on blast. So. I love him for it. Make sure you guys follow him on social media, Rogan Joey. Get on Instagram, Facebook, a lot of that